El ácido I can't do it. That was horrible. Do not quote me. Hey guys, it's Holly, and in this video I'm going to be comparing Spanish and English tongue twisters in order to find the absolute worst one, or I should say the best one, the one that's doing its job to twist the tongue of a regular bilingual person such as myself. Now let's keep in mind that Spanish is my second language, so it may be the case that the Spanish tongue twisters trip me up more than the English ones, but you know what? You never know. I've already recorded the Spanish version of this video. Check it out, link will be in the description if you're interested. So hopefully the fact that I've already read each one of these tongue twisters at least once will help me flow a little bit better. We shall see if practice indeed makes perfect. And that's actually kind of the point of this video. The only way to learn a language is by messing up. So what better way to test and prove that than with these phrases that were written specifically to trip us up? So I asked you guys on Twitter and Facebook to send me your worst and most impressive tongue twisters, and this is what you came up with. I'll try to give you guys the meaning of all the Spanish tongue twisters, okay? Some of them, it's gonna be a little bit tough. This one means R with R cigarette, R with R barrel. The wagons loaded with sugar roll quickly to the railroad track. R con R cigarro, R con R barril. Rápido ruedan los carros cargados de azúcar al ferrocarril. Let's try that again. R con R cigarro, R con R barril. Rápido ruedan los carros cargados de azúcar al ferrocarril. Wow! Practice does make perfect. The next one is an absolute classic. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? If a woodchuck could chuck wood, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck... What? I got overconfident. Let's try that again. If a woodchuck could chuck wood, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? It's a legitimate question. The next one was submitted by Mauricio on Twitter, and it says, Cuando la caracatrepa trepa, trepan sus cuatro caracatrepitos. Cuando la caracatrepa trepa, trepan sus cuatro caracatrepitos. Now, I looked up the meaning of caracatrepa, and apparently it doesn't mean anything, and this happens a lot in Spanish. They kind of make up words just for the sake of a tongue twister, which, let's be honest, we do it in English as well, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. So there's actually a more complete version of this tongue twister, and it says a little something like this. Una caracatrepa trepa con tres caracatrepitos. Cuando la caracatrepa trepa, trepan los tres caracatrepitos. Una caracatrepa trepa con tres caracatrepitos. What? My adaptation of this tongue twister is basically a caracatrepa climbs with three mini caracatrepas. When the caracatrepa climbs, the three mini caracatrepas climb as well. Something like that. So why don't you try it out? Una caracatrepa trepa con tres caracatrepitos. Cuando la caracatrepa trepa, trepan los tres caracatrepitos. Good job. Soy Dani Lemus on Twitter sent me this one, and it says, El ácido desoxirribonucleico se quiere desoxirribonucleizar, y el que lo desoxirribonucleice primero, buen desoxirribonucleizador será. Now that's really, really tough. Why don't we make it a little bit harder by trying to pronounce it with the Spanish they speak in Spain? And most of you probably know the difference. We're going to pronounce C's and Z's with a th sound, okay? So it's not like an S, it's th. Here we go. El ácido I can't do it. Okay. Let me get in the mode. El ácido desoxirribonucleico. Did I mess up? No. El ácido desoxirribonucleico se quiere desoxirribonucleizar. Y el que lo desoxirribonucleice primero. I need to put a comma here. That's what's tripping me up. Hold on. All right, let's do this. El ácido desoxirribonucleico se quiere El ácido desoxirribonucleico se quiere desoxirribonucleizar, y el que lo desoxirribonucleice primero, buen desoxirribonucleizador será. I am not trying that again. That's super tough. So you guys are going to notice that a lot of Spanish tongue twisters use this sort of formula, if you will. And it basically takes one very complex noun, I guess you could call it, that's not necessarily a word that's actually used. And then it sort of tries to put it into different parts of speech. This is my attempt at giving you guys a translation of what this means. Oxyribonucleic acid wants to be unoxyribonucleicized, and the first person who manages to unoxyribonucleicize it will be a great unoxyribonucleizer. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? That was horrible. Do not quote me. All right, next tongue twister is in English, and it says, She sells seashells down by the seashore. This one seems pretty chill, but I think the faster you say it and the more you trust your tongue to handle business, the more you get tripped up. So let's try it. She sells seashells down by the seashore. She sells seashells down by the seashore. Not having a problem. Woohoo! All right, how about this one? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled... Like, if my teeth weren't so big, this would be a lot easier. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? I wouldn't say that's twisting my tongue too much. This next tongue twister comes from Steffi on Twitter, and it says, Pablito clavó un clavito. ¿Qué clavito clavó Pablito? El clavito que Pablito clavó era el clavito de Pablito. I think reading this makes it pretty easy. Trying to actually remember it is probably going to trip me up. Pablito clavó un clavito. ¿Qué clavito clavó Pablito? El clavito que Pablito clavó. El bla 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 bla. Too many L's. Okay. Pablito clavó un clavito. ¿Qué clavito Pablo clavó? I can't do it. What's going on? I must be in English mode because I feel like in the other video I did this just fine. Pablito clavó un clavito. ¿Qué clavito clavó Pablito? El clavito que Pablito clavó era el clavito de Pablito. Okay, let's just say I can do it as long as I'm reading. Anita Molina sent me this one, which basically makes fun of the official names of certain medicines that you can get at the pharmacy in Mexico, especially. And it says, me recetaron fenildimetilpirasolonmetilaminometanfulfonato. Are you kidding me right now? If any of you can say that, you've basically arrived in life. There's no need to have any other aspirations. Me recetaron Let me try it again. Me recetaron Me recetaron fenildimetilpirasolonmetilaminometanfulfonato sódico. I don't think I'm going to ever be able to say that fluidly. I'm going to stop right there. All right, this next one may seem pretty simple, but it's actually kind of crazy. How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? How can a clam cram in a clean? Imagine just saying it in regular conversation. I mean, but honestly though, how can a clam cram in a clean cream can? How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? Ah, nice one. This next one was submitted by Tere Ocaña, and it means when you tell stories, count how many stories you tell, because if you don't count how many stories you tell, you'll never know how many stories you've told. In Spanish, it sounds a little something like this. Cuando cuentes cuentos, cuenta cuántos cuentos cuentas, porque si no cuentas cuántos cuentos cuentas, nunca sabrás cuántos cuentos has contado tú. You've got to be kidding me. Susie submitted a tongue twister and it says, Lugo tuvo un tubo, pero el tubo que Lugo tuvo se le partió. Y Lugo, para poder recuperar el tubo que... What? I feel like the wording's a little bit off though. Maybe that's what threw me off. The translation would be, Lugo had a pole, but the pole that Lugo had split. And Lugo, in order to recuperate the pole that Lugo had to purchase a new pole. What the heck? Try that one. Lugo tuvo un tubo, pero el tubo que Lugo tuvo se le partió. Y Lugo, para poder recuperar el tubo que Lugo tuvo que comprar un nuevo tubo. All right, the next one is in your mother tongue most likely, so good luck with it. It says, the sixth sick sheep's sick. The sixth sick sheep's sick. Guys, I'm really worried because the sixth sick because my tongue is having a seizure. Because the sixth sick sheep's sick. I don't feel like I'm ever going to be able to get through that one without stuttering. The sixth sick sheep's sick. I'm gonna stop right there. All right, Jane sent me this wonderful tongue twister. It says, si Sansón no sazona su salsa con sal, le sale sosa. Le sale sosa su salsa a Sansón si la sazona sin sal. That's beautiful. Can you believe that that actually means something? Let me translate. If Samson doesn't season his salsa with salt, it turns out, let's call sosa insipid. That's probably a good adaptation of that word. Now this part's kind of hard to translate because it's structured in a different way that doesn't work in English, but it basically means it turns out insipid, his salsa, to Samson if he seasons it without salt. So let's try that again in Spanish. Si Sansón no sazona su salsa con sal, le sale sosa. Le sale sosa su salsa a Sansón si la sazona sin sal. I love that one, but it's probably because I can actually say it. I wouldn't say it's too bad of a tongue twister though. What do you think? All right, Marta sent me parangaricutirimicuaro. And actually, this one can fit into that structure I was talking about earlier. And I did memorize this when I was a little bit younger, so hopefully I can do it without tripping up. Here it goes. Al rey de parangaricutirimicuaro lo quieren desparangaricutirimicuarizar. El que logre I bit my tongue. Let's try that again. Al rey de parangaricutirimicuaro lo quieren desparangaricutirimicuarizar. El que logre desparangaricutirimicuarizarlo será un buen desparangaricutirimicuarizador. Now let's say it like they do in Spain. Al rey de parangaricutirimicuaro lo quieren desparangaricutirimicuarizar. El que logre desparangaricutirimicuarizarlo será un buen desparangaricutirimicuarizador. Almost. I feel like I messed up that last syllable. Brisanta on Twitter sent me this one. It says, which witch switched the Swiss wristwatches? It's a valid question. Which witch switched the Swiss wristwatches? Which witch switched the Swiss wristwatches? I can't even do it. How can you get through that word? How do you get through wristwatches when you just said Swiss? Which witch switched the Swiss wristwatches? Whoa, that was beautiful. I'm done. The Nighty sent me this one on Twitter and it says, el cielo está enladrillado. ¿Quién lo desenladrillará? El desenladrillador que lo desenladrille, buen desenladrillador será. That means the sky is bricked. Bricked as a verb. Who will unbrick it? The unbricker who manages to unbrick it will be a great unbricker. Here we go. El cielo está enladrillado. ¿Quién lo desenladrillará? El desenladrillador que lo desenladrille, buen desenladrillador será. I feel like the more I say that one, the worse I get. A very similar one, which means the sky is covered or covered with a cape maybe. Who will uncover it? The uncoverer who uncovers it shall be a great uncoverer. The only thing is, it isn't conjugated in the right tense. Okay, whatever. Let's just read it as is. It says, el cielo está encapotado. ¿Quién lo desencapotará? El encapotador que lo desencapó, buen desencapotador será. El cielo está encapotado. ¿Quién lo desencapotará? Okay, I need to relax. El cielo está encapotado. ¿Quién lo desencapotará? El encapotador que lo desencapó, buen desencapotador será. Very nice, Mauro. Let's try this one in English. While one black bug bled black blood, the other black bug bled blue. While one black bug bled While one black bug bled black blood, the other black bug bled blue. What are you gonna do? Pretty tough. I feel like I've practiced that one a little bit because I've heard it since childhood. Try it. And try to say it as fast as you can. While one black bug bled black blood, the other black bug bled blue. This next one is a classic, and it says, tres tristes tigres tragaban trigo en un trigal en tres tristes trastros. Good job, Holly. Tres tristes tigres tragaban trigo en un trigal en tres tristes trastos. Tragaban trigo, tres tristes tigres. It means three sad tigers swallowed wheat in a wheatery in three sad dishes. They swallowed wheat, three sad tigers. Tres tristes tigres tragaban trigo en un trigal en tres tristes trastos. Tragaban trigo, tres tristes tigres. Not bad, and I'm not going to try that again. All right, this one is short and sweet. Stupid superstition. A lot of people have issues with this one. Stupid superstition, stupid superstition, stupid superstition, stupid superstition, stupid superstition. Okay, did you have any issues? How about this one? The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. The 33 thieves... The 33 thieves thought they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. The 33 thieves thought that they thrilled the throne throughout Thursday. I think I'm spitting. Okay, Lírico Exánime sent me this on Twitter. It says, puerco pescuecicrespo, desempuerco pescuecicrespo. What? Puerco pescuecicrespo, desempuerco pescuecicréspate, desempuerco pescuecicréspate, pescuecicrespo, cuerpo. No! Cuerpo means body and puerco means pig. Gotta love that, huh? Okay, I don't know what pescuecicrespo means, so it's gonna be a little tough for me to translate this one, but it means, let's just say crepuscular for the sake of the argument, okay? Even though that's not what it means. Crepuscular pig, uncrepuscularize yourself. Uncrepuscularize yourself, precuscular, I can't even speak English anymore. Precuscular pig. Okay, back to the tongue twister. Puerco pescuecicrespo, desempuerco pescuecicréspate, desempuerco pescuecipete. Okay, I'm gonna go slow so that I can make sure to get this right. Puerco pescuecicrespo, desempuerco pescuecicréspate, desempuerco pescuecicréspate, pescuecicrespo puerco. That is so tough. All right, I want you to try it too. This next tongue twister is a limerick, and I think it's fabulous. And it says, a tutor who tooted the flute tried to tutor two tutors to toot. Said the toot to the tutor, is it tougher to toot or to tutor two tutors to toot? Let's try again. A tutor who tooted the flute tried to tutor two tutors to toot. Said the tutor the tutor, is it tougher to toot or to tutor two tutors to toot? Doesn't it make English sound like an insane language? A tutor who tooted the flute tried to tutor two tutor to toot. The next one says, imagine an imaginary menagerie manager managing an imaginary menagerie. Is that pronounced correctly? Menagerie? I think that's a word that was borrowed from French. Imagine an imaginary menagerie manager managing an imaginary menagerie. Okay, I need to say that a little bit quicker. Imagine an imaginary menagerie manager managing... That's exactly what they wanted me to do. Imagine an imaginary menagerie manager managing an imaginary menagerie. And last but not least, this one was collected from Twitter by Wish You Were Here, and it says, it may sound easy, but try it. Con este puñal de acero te descorazonaré. Con este puñal de acero te descorazonaré. Con este puñal de acero te descorazonaré. All right, I can say it like a Mexican. Let's try it like a Spaniard. Con este puñal de acero te descorazonaré. Con este puñal de acero te descorazonaré. I am on a roll, you guys. I'm gonna stop it right there. Now I just have to vote for the 3 hardest, craziest, and most intense tongue twisters out of this entire session. It does not mean that this covers all the tongue twisters in the world, so if you guys have a better one that you think would really trip me up, please respond in the comments below. But I'm gonna have to say, whew, okay, this one really got me. Me recetaron fenildimetilpirasolonmetalimini. I can't even do it. Me recetaron fenildimetilpirasolonmetilaminometanfulfonatosódico. I feel like I learned the last part, but I am going to continue to strive to actually learn that one. Anita Molina, great suggestion. That was one of the top insane tongue twisters of the night. Then I'm gonna have to say the sixth sheep's sick, even though it's in my mother tongue. I find that extremely disheartening and difficult to pronounce. The sixth sheep's sick. I hope nobody has to say that ever because it's just gonna be a disaster. The last one that I found incredibly tough and very surprising, well, actually it was kind of a tie between puerco pescuecicrespo desempuerco pescueciptipi, that one. Puerco pescuecicrespo desempuerco pescuecicrespate desempuerco pescuecicrespate pescuecicrespo puerco. And then the other one, which is super surprising, which switched the Swiss wristwatches. It shouldn't be that hard, but it is ridiculous. Anyway, I hope you guys had fun with this. Definitely try out the Spanish ones if you're learning Spanish. And again, let me know in the comments if you can think of crazier tongue twisters that you think are just gonna tie my tongue in a knot. That's about it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I will talk to you later. Gonna live my life. I'm lonely. Which switched the Swiss wristwatches? Woo, that was beautiful. I'm done.